with a beautiful speaker. So, sorry?
A beautiful speaker.
So, yes, I call upon Dr. Lucita. Dr. Lucita is going to give us the poem of the day, and then she is going to introduce Power Monday.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I love the fact that Noel starts the prayer with God created today and say that it is a good day, so we say that it is a good day. Who are we to dispute the fact that today is a beautiful day? Thank you very much. We are the Powerhouse. We are the Power Monday. We demystify the fact that Mondays are boring days. You all can see Mondays are just beautiful days. We meet every single Monday except when it is a public holiday in Kenya, as from 7:15 to 8:15. We discuss diverse topics on personal development, and who knows, you could make your first million from such a session. And you know what? The sessions are absolutely free. Not only do we meet virtually, we meet physically as what we term as meet and greet. And our last quarter of meet and greet is a dinner. And this year, we are going to revive the vibe because, we are 6 years old. 6. We are gonna revive the vibe. And I know you couldn't miss to be there. Today, I want to do something on Live for Today because tomorrow just belongs to tomorrow. And yesterday was just yesterday. So live for today. Live for today. Live not tomorrow, not when the money comes, not when the right person arrives, not when the wounds have healed, not when life finally looks the way you imagined it would, but live for today. Love while you still can, love while your heart still knows how to love. Dance even when the world thinks you have no reason to dance. Live for today. Call the person you want to call, say the words you want to say, take the trip you've always wanted to take, wear the beautiful dress that you've always anticipated to wear, open the bottle you've always been saving for the special occasion because you are the occasion. Live for today. Life does not promise us another morning. It only answers a moment and whispers, be here. Just for this moment. Stop postponing your joy for the future that has made no promises to you. You know, yesterday is a story, tomorrow is a possibility, but today is yours. Today is guaranteed. Breathe deeply. Forgive where you can't, let go where you must. Choose the peace over proving a point. I know, because it's for today. Choose courage over fear. Choose life over merely existing.
Okay.
Okay, I think we just go on, but live for today. Tomorrow is gone. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Yesterday is gone. Just live for today. The only time that you have is now. Even yesterday, you're living it now. So, live for today. Live for now. So I call upon Mercy, who is going to introduce the guest speaker of the day. I don't love saying her second name because very many times I butcher it. So Mercy, kindly introduce the guest speaker of the day.
Good morning, Power Monday. I am happy to be here today. What a poem. I was actually waiting. I hope we will redo it at some point before we go home. So it's my pleasure to bring to us the speaker of the day, who is none other than Rosemary Maina. Rosemary Maina is a leadership trainer, a strategy consultant, and a change practitioner. She's a very dynamic trainer, authoritative speaker, and a passionate coach. A respected and inspirational leader with 10 years experience in the health insurance industry and 7 years experience offering management consultancy, developing trainings, and coaching programs. She's also she's been facilitating trainings as well as evaluating training and consultancy outcomes. Rosemary possesses sound knowledge in varied training techniques, and she demonstrates a strong business acumen. She has great working experience with small, medium enterprises, corporates, government bodies, and nonprofit organizations. She's passionate about developing individuals and teams to their full potential. She's the founder of Enlightened You, a leadership training and coaching company focusing on self leadership, leadership, and organizational leadership. She has designed and facilitated a range of self leadership programs such as public speaking and business presentations, emotional intelligence, goal setting, personality profiling, personal effectiveness, and individualized coaching programs. She's also designed and facilitates leadership programs and consultancy work on corporate governance, strategy development and implementation, managerial leadership, performance management, and organizational change. Rosemary is a board member in an NGO, an executive board member in a senior school, and an independent director in a healthcare facility, playing a major role in leadership development, strategy planning, and execution. She holds a BSc in nursing from the University of Nairobi, a master in business administration from Strathmore Business School. She's a certified change practitioner by Proceed with a certificate in strategic change management from Kellogg School of Management in the USA. She's a certified life coach by the American Union of NLP and an author. She was awarded as gold winner Kenya Digitally Fit Award, Person of the Year, Creating an Impact Online, Inspirational Educator category, year 2024. So Power Monday, join me in welcoming Rosemary Maina to speak to us. Asanteni sana. Yeah.
That's
Okay,
it.
great. I think I was off the speaker. Thank you for letting me know, and thank you. I was saying thank you, Mercy, for the great introduction, and thank you to everybody in the house for making Monday a beautiful Monday. So I was told somebody started by saying you're waiting for a beautiful speaker on a beautiful Monday. So I hope I get to meet to that expectation. And of course, like we've been told, we are supposed to be living for today. But I'm sure, as you know, when it comes to strategy, we are thinking a bit about the future. But then it is asking ourselves, even as we think about the future, are we connecting it to what we are doing today? So I see we have quite a number of people in the house. And my first question before I put up my screen is where you are, whether you're running your own business or you're employed, would you say you have a strategy, you have a plan, or you have both? What would you say if I asked you, do you have a strategy, or do you have a plan, or do you have both? Just a minute on the chat, tell us what you have, or you have none. So you either have a plan, you have a strategy, you have both, or you have nothing. What do you have? Whether you're running a business, you are employed somewhere, and of course, if you're employed somewhere, there must be something you work with. Thank you, Razia. Razia says we have both. Amazing. Let me hear what the others have. Do you have a strategy? Do you have a plan? Do you have both? Do you have nothing? And if you're not in business, not employed, at least you have a life. You could also be having a plan or a strategy for your life. You should be having something. Anthony says a plan. Ali says, yeah, they're running a business and have both. Joseph says both. That's encouraging. Thanks, Mercy. Sister Mary says, have a strategy. Sarah, none. I like the honesty. It's a good starting point because you can't move until you're honest about where you are. A plan. I see quite a number. Both. It's in the head for a while. I like that honesty. Actually, most people have them in their heads. You're carrying the whole strategy and your whole plan in your head, both but not fully monitored. Thank you, Windrose, for that. Pretty says, providing international career counseling. What do you have? Mureithi Anthony says both. Interesting. Great. I think that's a starting point. And I like the honesty that people have both. Some are clear, they have a strategy. Some have a plan, while others have nothing. But most of the time, I'm sure you have something more, maybe just that it is in your heads. So let's get to ask ourselves, first of all, what's the difference between the two? Because most of the time we have something. Whether it is in writing or whether it is somewhere in our head, we have something. And today we are getting to ask ourselves, whatever you have, whether it is in your head, whether it is written, is it working? But before I even ask whether it is working, I wanted us to first ask ourselves, do we even have the right thing? Because maybe it's not working because what we have is not the right thing. So we get to first ask ourselves, do we have the right thing? So what's the difference between the two? I know when you're talking about this topic, we are looking at both angles. So we are talking about a strategic plan. But most of the time, we don't get to differentiate the two. So we normally see the strategy as the guiding vision. It's the long term. It's the long term angle that starts by looking at the outside, and then before we get to look at the inside. Most of us have a to-do list, and that's a plan. A to-do list is what you wake up and say, this is what, if it's me and a few people I work with, this is what you're working on today, this month, this quarter, or even this year. That's pretty short term. So anything short term, we are seeing it as a plan that you just sit down and say, these are the things you are going to do this quarter, these are the things you are going to do this year. The downside of that is that if it is not anchored on a strategy, then it is not serving a long-term vision. And that is why we start with the strategy first before we bring it down to a plan. So a plan is what we do on a day-to-day basis, but we have a guiding vision. We have the thing that you get to ask yourselves, what are we planning to achieve in the next 3 years? What are we planning to achieve in the next 5 years? Because that is what guides what you do today. Because if the next 3 years you're expecting to walk into an organization and have it look a certain way, then they're the kind of people you want to have, they're the kind of systems you want to have, they're the kind of processes you want to have, there's the kind of culture that you want to have. But without having the long-term vision first in your mind, then it doesn't guide what you get. So most of the time when you get to work with a plan which is daily, monthly, quarterly, you are just solving today's problems. You are literally just firefighting, if I may call it that way. Because you wake up today and we say, last month something did not work, so what are we fixing now? We hear people are going this side, what do we fix now? So you're always fixing things, firefighting operationally, but you have not anchored it onto a longer term vision. So the question for those who are saying they have a plan, what is it anchored on? Is it answering to a long-term vision? Is it answering to something or a place you are going to in the next 3 to 5 years? Of course, you are not looking for you to have a plan of 10, 20 years. You can have a dream. But for something practical with how fast the world is moving right now, we are looking for you to have something that says in the next 3 years or in the next 5 years, this is how we want this business to look like. This is how we want this organization to look like. This is the area we want to be playing at. This is the level we want to be playing at. This is the market we want to be in. This is the kind of customers we want to be dealing with. Then we work backwards and ask ourselves, for us to get there, what should our to-do list look like today, look like this month, look like this quarter, look like this year for us to be able to get there. So ideally, your plan is not a strategy. Because if you think your plan is a strategy, it gives you a mistake. It is firefighting, it is very operational. So your plan is an output of a strategy. After you have done your 3 years, you have done your 5 years, you now get an output out of there saying, these are the things we get to do on a day-to-day basis that are going to guide us to be able to do the other things that we get to do. What guides that strategy? Where is your strategy anchored on? The first place your strategy is anchored on is the environment, because in business you don't serve yourself, you serve a need out there for customers, for people who are out there. So until you understand what is happening out there, you'll be sitting in a boardroom coming up with things that serve you, not things that serve the market that you are looking to serve. Because most of us in business, we have dreams, we have things we want to achieve, we just have this passion of things we want to do, but we don't do it for ourselves. We do it for our customer out there. We do it to meet a need out there. We meet an industry, and we fit somewhere in an industry to be able to serve a whole ecosystem. So before we sit in the boardroom and say this is what you want to do, of course you have something you want to do at the back of your mind. You have decided you want to offer this international counseling something, but you're asking yourself, what is out there apart from what I want to offer? How does it fit in the world that is out there? We have a market, we have other people doing the same, you have customers' behavior that is shifting. So those are the real drivers of where you'll be in the next 5 years. So we always say your strategy is anchored on the environment, not the other way around. You don't come up with a strategy then force it to fit. You first understand the environment, the environment you are operating in, and then based on that, you are able to know what kind of strategy do I need to come up with. Even in an environment that is shifting very fast, that means also my strategy has to be very innovative, it has to be very agile, because I have to keep up with what is happening. If I'm in an environment that is very stable, things don't change so fast, then what I need to do is to be able to increase my efficiency so that I can be able to produce more at a lower cost, and I can be able to produce the same pen for 100 years, because there's not much of innovation happening in that space. So understanding the environment helps you to think better about your strategy. I'm dealing with this kind of customer. This is how they have been evolving over time. And so for me to be able to meet that customer, I have to come up with this kind of strategy to meet what is in my environment in terms of the market, the competitor, the customer, and what is happening around me as an industry. So the other thing you want to ask yourself with your strategy and with your plan, was it born out of a meeting in the boardroom, or was it born out of understanding what is happening across your environment? Because it was just born out of you and your passion, seated in the boardroom and saying the things you would want to do. In an ideal environment that is yours, then chances are it is meeting problems out there and it is being hit back because you did not think about what is happening around you. So your mission statement and your goals are not your guide for your strategy. Those ones come after you have understood the environment that you're dealing in. Then now after that, you can come and ask yourself, what would my goals look like? What would my vision look like? Because they have to be able to marry the two. So understand your environment first. Once you have understood your environment, then now you are in a better position to come down and check whether your strategy is meeting that. So of course, if you have a strategy, you know what it has. And I know our money has had this session before, so I'm not here to teach you about strategy today. But I'm just here to remind you to check whether you have the right thing before you ask yourself whether it is working. So once you have understood your strategy, then it now feeds into your purpose or the purpose of the organization, because the organization has a purpose. Before you even give it a strategy, it has a purpose. And its purpose is what we normally define with your mission, your vision, and your values. Your mission tells us what you do, how do you do it, and to who you do it. It is basically your foundation. It is your rock. It is everything that you do has to keep asking you, is it feeding into the mission that you set out to do? Is it feeding into the purpose? Then it gives you a vision that says in the next 5 years, in the next 3 years, this is who we would want to be. It's an aspiration. It is your guiding factor. So that whatever you do today, if I'm hiring somebody today, I'm asking myself, is this person fitting into my vision? If I'm buying a system today, I'm asking myself, is this system feeding into my vision, or is it firefighting today or fixing the problem I had last year? So having a purpose keeps you grounded. It gives you a sense of direction, because whatever you do is guided towards that vision, and has a rock, it has a foundation of a mission, that there is this thing that looks really good in the market, but I'm not going to go into that direction. I'm not going to take that project. I'm not going to take into that product. I'm not even going to that kind of customer segment, because my mission fits into this side of customer segment, or in this kind of product, because that is where you belong. And your mission has given you that. And your mission is your identity. It is what differentiates you from everybody else who is doing a similar thing, because it tells you as a person, how you do it, to who you do it, and a bit of why you do it in the first place. It gives you purpose. The vision is aspirational. It is a dream. You can dream as far as you want to dream, but with the back set of whatever I do is anchored into that vision. And of course, we have values, which most of us are somewhere in a document. Like I said, some people say we are not monitoring, because even when you ask themselves who came up with that document, what the value was, they have no idea. But most of our problems in culture are a problem of not linking our values to our behaviors. Most of us have beautiful values on paper, but have we brought those values down into behaviors that we practice on a day-to-day basis, so that our today is also serving our future? So the purpose in this case feels like a future, but we have to bring it down. The decisions we make today, the activities we make today have to always be anchored to that. That we are making this decision, we are taking up this new project because it is guiding in our mission. We are hiring this, we are buying this because it is feeding into our vision. We are shaping these behaviors, we are punishing or rewarding this behavior because it is part of our values. And that keeps us grounded. So the purpose in this case is actually not part of the strategy, but it is the foundation. Because if you don't have a mission in mind, if you don't have a vision, a long-term vision of where you're going, if you don't have values or behaviors that describe or that the things that you value, then the strategy is going to be on a very shaky ground. It is probably just going to be firefighting again. So the purpose keeps you grounded. The strategy then comes in with your pillars, like the pillars, most of us probably use the BSc, where you're talking about you have a finance, you have a customer angle, you have operations efficiency angle, you have your human resource angle. The pillars, most of us probably are aware of that. It is basically which areas are we going to focus on. And then from there, you are able to come up with your goals and you are able to come up with our objectives. Most of us, when we sit alone in a boardroom, we are able to come up with something close to that, something close to a strategy. The question is whether it is anchored to a purpose. And if you only have a strategy, that is all you have. It could be just a one paper, actually, a one page, a two page that says these are our pillars or our key result areas or our thematic areas. These are each goal for each of those pillars or for each of those thematic areas. And these are a number of objectives that are going to help us to achieve those goals. Most of us just stop there and then the world stops. So if you stop there, then you have a strategy. But for those of us who have a strategy and a plan, then we have gone down to the execution part. We have asked ourselves, how do we achieve these objectives? Because these objectives, the goals are pretty long term. The goals could be the 3 years, the 5 years. The objectives could be annual. That year one, we are growing our revenue by 10%. We are increasing our customer satisfaction by this much. We have a number of objectives we can put in. But then how do we achieve those objectives? That is where the execution or the plan comes in. That now you have come up with initiatives and activities of things we do on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis that feed into the objectives that we have set. So that if you want to increase your customer satisfaction by 15% or from 70% to 80%, you are telling the person who is at the gate or at the reception, this is how you're going to welcome customers, because when you welcome customers this way, you are contributing to our 15% in customer satisfaction. This is how you are going to clean the floor, because when you clean the floor, you are increasing our customer satisfaction to a certain level. So you now bring those objectives to activities that are done by everybody across the organization. The problem we have and why the monitoring becomes tricky is because we left it at the objectives level, where the big number is, and that big number is somewhere within somebody's office or in somebody's laptop and was never brought down. So for you to be able to implement the strategy, you have to bring it down to the execution or to a plan, where we are saying to achieve this specific goal, these are the initiatives, these are the activities, and they are smart enough. They are smart enough to tell us exactly what needs to be done, by when it should be done, how we will measure it, so that we can be able to tell that we have achieved what we need to achieve. The challenge, like I've seen, most of us probably have a plan, but the plan is not anchored on a purpose. The plan is not anchored on a strategy. So we just started with the execution part and hoped a strategy will emerge out of that. It does not work that way. It has to start from the top. Actually, nobody says strategy starts from the top. Strategy is part of planning. Planning starts from the top. So the person at the top starts by telling us this is where we want to go in 5 years. Then now we break it down to the itemized things that we get to do on a day-to-day basis. So where is this gap? Where is the missing link? The missing link lies in the person who came up with a nice document, or the few people who came up with a nice document, but then after they came up with that document, they left it somewhere in somebody's boardroom, like I said. It was left in the boardroom, and some did a very nice lounge and printed a very nice document, but it is just collecting dust in somebody's office. And we feel very bad as consultants when we find our nice documents collecting dust after 1 or 2 years when we drop by, because nobody bothered to look at it, or nobody brought it down for it to be done on a day-to-day basis. So the first major gap is between where the document is and where the people are, because execution of the strategy lives in the front line. If the person who is doing work on a day-to-day basis cannot even describe one thing that is in your strategy, something was lost somewhere. Because the major thing when it comes to strategy development is involvement. Even if you work with 2 or 3 people, they should have been involved from the beginning. Even if you're working with 500 people, they should have known there was something happening. They should have contributed in one way or the other, whether it was through a questionnaire, whether it was through focus group discussion, they should have been involved in one way or the other. Because when you don't involve people and then you come back with a nice document and you want to throw it to them, it becomes your problem. You came up with a document, fix it. But if you involve them from the beginning and you make them part of the process, then you give them a chance to own what is in that document, and eventually they can be part of the implementation. But if you sat down because you are the vision bearer and you are very passionate about this business, and you are somewhere by your own in Naivasha for 2-3 days, or with your own consultant or partner or whoever you work with, and came up with a nice document, and then came in when it is totally done and polished, and you want your people to jump in and get it done, you are on an uphill task. Eventually, either you will give up and throw it somewhere, or it is just going to be another document we are not able to refer to or make it live on a day-to-day basis. So the strategy dies in the boardroom most of the time because it lives in the boardroom, but it is not being executed in the front line. And that is the most dangerous gap. But remember, for it to be executed in the front line, you can't bring it on the day of execution, not on the day of the launch, and call us to tell us you are launching and we are launching a new strategy, and you guys need to be part of this because this is where we are headed. You should have told us earlier. Tell us the vision, let us give us some ideas on how to get into that vision, because we'll be part of implementation. So you have to involve us from the beginning. Once you have involved them from the beginning, after that, where the next gap is the unclear translation. Like I've said, you have nice high-level objectives of how much revenue will grow, which market segment you will go into, and all those big, nice things you're talking to, but they have not been translated and converted to daily decisions. You have nice values that are written somewhere, but they have not been translated into the behaviors that we do on a day-to-day basis. So that if you have a value that says integrity, me as the frontline staff, me as the receptionist, me as the accountant, what is integrity? If you don't define for me that behavior, put it somewhere in writing and be able to make me to monitor it on a day-to-day basis and make it part of my performance management, that value remains on paper. If you have a very nice goal that says customer satisfaction increases by 15%, but you don't add it to me in terms of how fast I respond to an email, how I pick a phone call, how I greet customers, how I clean, then it remains a goal up there that is not translated into decisions and activities that I do on a day-to-day basis. So when we miss that clear translation between the objective and the big goal and what people do on a day-to-day basis, that's the next step that your strategy dies. Because maybe you had done a good job in sitting with your whole team and coming up with nice things, and they contributed. But after that, you have to break it down and make sure it is part of the decisions that we do on a day-to-day basis. Because when you don't do that, the teams don't stop working. They optimize to their own convenience without thinking about the strategy. Even for the people who don't achieve anything on their strategy, you can rest assured they have not been sleeping. They have been working. We have all been running around. We are tired. We are busy. Headless chicken all over. But nothing is aligned to the strategy. Nothing is aligned to the vision, because they come, they work, and they go home. And by the end of the year or by the end of the 3 years, when you tell them they did not achieve the strategy, they don't understand, because they have been working and they have been moving around. The only challenge is their work and their moving around was not aligned. The vision was not aligned to the strategic goals that we had set. And so you'll be having a discrepancy like we have most of the time, where the staff says we have achieved, we should be getting our bonus, we should be having our increment. The board or the directors are saying, no, we did not achieve our strategy. So you have no bonus, you have no increment. And that becomes a very big gap because they don't understand why. They have been working and nobody told them they were not achieving what they were supposed to achieve, because we did not bring the strategy to them. But not bringing the strategy to the people does not mean they stopped working. They have been working, they have been doing what they know how to do. They have been running around and optimizing based on where we are. So for you to be able to fix that, for us to be able to get a quick fix for that, there has to be explicit translation layers. You have involved the people, you have come up with a nice document. You have done the purpose layer, you have done the strategy layer with the pillars and the objectives and the goals. You have brought it down to a whole 5-year plan or work plan that says the activities, the initiatives, and everything you want to do in the next 3 to 5 years. But after that, you have to bring it down further to either divisions or departments. We have things we need to do in 5 years, From there, we are able to extract now the plan for the 1 year. So we have a plan 2027, 2030. What belongs to 2027? We now get a plan, a 1 year annual plan. We can call it an operational plan, you can call it a business plan, whichever you want to call it, but you have an annual plan derived from your strategy. The challenge you get also sometimes is that you have a strategy document somewhere in the office, but people also have now their plan for the year, totally different from what is in the strategy. Again, you are optimizing your own things. So the annual plan must have been derived from the strategy. After deriving the annual plan from the strategy, then you ask yourself, each of these activities and initiatives we have here, who do they belong to? Because they have to belong to somebody. So each department or division will take their own. If it's a smaller organization, each individual has to take something that they are running with, and that becomes part of their KPI. That becomes part of the things you will be reporting and monitoring on a monthly basis and on a quarterly basis. That way you are able to mix the big strategic things with the normal operational things that they do on a day-to-day basis, so that everything in the strategy is owned on an annual basis and we are able to monitor it. That's the only way we are going to reduce that missing link in those 3 areas. That first of all, you involved the people, so the strategy was not just done in a boardroom. Once it was done, it was brought down to the people, and to the people, they're able to incorporate it on their day-to-day decisions, on their day-to-day activities, because it is clear on what needs to be done, who needs to do it, by when it needs to be done, and it is part of their KPI that are being mentioned and monitored on a day-to-day basis. The next thing that comes, of course, after that, when you start monitoring, is what are you measuring? What are you monitoring? Because most of us, again, they might say, we did what we are supposed to do. This time, you actually gave people the right things. You looked through the initiatives and the activities, and because we are supposed to make sure our customers are happy, we told somebody you have to meet the customers every week. And we are checking whether we have met them every week. We decided we want to have a new system, and we launched the new system. We had decided there are a number of things everybody has to log in 8 hours a day, and they logged in. But still, the bigger goals are not getting achieved. The meetings were attended, the system was optimized, people logged in the hours, but our customer satisfaction still did not grow. Because all along, from month 1, we were monitoring activities, not outcome. Most of us, after we have done a very nice plan, like I said, the plan is basically a list of activities, that is a to-do list. If you only monitor the to-do list without asking yourself, what was the outcome of this activity, then you're monitoring the wrong things. So the people will have felt they did their job. I met my customers weekly this week, but you're not asking ourselves, after meeting the customers, what was the outcome? You are supposed to meet the customer so that revenue either increases, retention either increases, or their satisfaction increases. So when we are monitoring our strategy, we need to be careful that we are not monitoring.
Such things happen sometimes when power just goes off. I think we lost her. I believe she is coming back. So, in the meantime, what are you people learning? You can share what you're learning. We can put our questions down so that she will be able to respond to them. Yes, Modesta?
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
good morning. We can hear you.
So for me, what I've gotten from today's lesson is that even as you're making the strategy, you need to involve the staff that will be executing the strategy, so that it's just a boardroom document. And then also when tracking, we need to track the right things. Yeah. You may say you're tracking your strategy, but are you tracking the right things? That is a takeaway for me. Thank you.
Beautiful, yeah. That part of involving the people is very critical. Enough of us, like she said, we just drop things there and documents, and that's why I think this is very popular in Kenya, more so government. that
Yeah.
we are tracking projects launched, not projects completed. You see, so it's important to track activity, the metrics that show progress. Yeah, we
Sure.
started at this number, now we are at this number. And involving people who are going to execute it so that they feel part of it. Yeah. Thank you very much. Alice Ngigi, I think you were our speaker last week. Alice, uh, video yako iko wapi? We did not
Video yangu iko hapo.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, OPP. I'm really thrilled by this topic. It's very close to my heart because as a business coach, this is a challenge that we usually see. And I'm really happy that Rosemary is breaking it down in a way that many of us can really grasp and see where the gaps are. Because as she has said rightly, if you come up with a strategy as the business owner or the leadership team that doesn't involve other people and you come down to tell them what to do, then it becomes very difficult for them to understand. But what has made me happy is the way she's broken it down to the operational level, that a cleaner needs to understand why customer service is important and what they need to do. So for me, that is extremely important. And I think if we look at it that way and understand, it's going to really help us in our businesses. The values that we have on our walls need to be lived every day. Yeah, so that is important. And like Modesta, also one of the key takeaways I have gotten is we need to be measuring the right things. Measure outcomes, not activities.
Beautiful.
Thank
you. Rosemary, you're back. Can see you're back.
Yes, I am. My apologies. Kenya Power has decided to do that thing on me.
Good.
Yes,
I
yes.
said it.
So
That thing when people lose power.
yeah,
Power.
I know. But thank you for taking over. So I can tell this slide has already been discussed and summarized.
Yeah,
Yes,
go
so
ahead.
yeah, so
Yeah.
let's focus on the outcomes and not just the activities, because that is the ideal intention of a strategy. It's not to be busy, it is to hit the outcomes that are expected. So based on that, of course, the other thing you have to ask yourself, which called the strategy enablers, or I would call enablers, is do you have the right competency, including you, even if you own the business. Sometimes you have a nice strategy, but you don't have the capability or the skills. And that is why I said most of the time, as when it comes to hiring, don't hire for today, hire for the future. When you're going back to school, even you as an individual running the business, don't just go to school for today. Go to school for the future to be able to deliver your own strategy. Because most of the time we have a nice document, but we assume the people should just jump into it and get it done. And just because they went to school does not necessarily mean they have the working skill in the work environment. So one of the things you get to do also as you do your strategy, check, are there new skills, new capabilities that are required to achieve this strategy? Are there roles that are missing? Because maybe there is some work that needs to be done, but we don't have such a role within the organization. We do not have those skills. We don't have the capabilities. So normally the third level, after you've looked at the environment, and then you have come up with a strategy, the next thing is to align the structure of the organization to fit the strategy. And when I say the structure, is not just the roles, it's not just the organogram, it is the processes, it is the culture, it is the systems, it is the policies, anything. Because sometimes you have a very nice document, but how the organization is organized is not helping us. And it's good you've mentioned government, because I always say sometimes you want things to move faster. You say you want to improve our turnaround time, for example, of how we run a certain process. But then you realize for that process to be done, you need 7 signatures, and those 7 signatures are done on paper. So you are chasing a guy in Naivasha, a guy in Mombasa, a guy I don't know where. Clearly, you don't have the competency as an organization to hit that goal of improving your turnaround time. So sometimes you have the right document, but internally, the way the organization is organized, the way it is structured in terms of the people, the processes, the skills, the policies, they are not helping. So once you've come up with a nice strategy as an organization, go back and ask ourselves, are our tools helping us to achieve? Do the people we have capable helping us achieve this strategy? If they are not, then you have some work to do there in terms of those competencies. Upskill your people, get the right people, outsource the right skills, review your policies, review your processes so that they support the achievement of that strategy. The resources also. Once you have come up with your nice strategy, the next thing we ask for, where is the budget? Because the strategy has to be funded. You have said there are people to hire, there are things to be done, there are meetings to be held, there are regions to go to. What are you funding? So sometimes you have a strategy here, but you are funding something totally different. You want production to increase, you want people to be more motivated, but you are not funding a thing in terms of their development, you are not funding a thing in terms of their motivation. So your priorities are wrong. And like we say, show me where your money goes and I'll tell you what you value. So when I look at your budget, I can already tell what you value and whether it is aligned to your vision, whether it is aligned in terms of the strategy that you have. So you must be funding the right priorities. Your budget allocation gives us a strategic signal. It tells us where your money is going and where your true value is, irrespective of what you are telling us. So at the end of it all, once you have come up with your nice strategy, you have pulled out your 1-year plan, it also needs to be accompanied by a budget that says these are the things we are going to fund. We prioritize because, of course, money is never enough, but you're able to prioritize based on what you really want to achieve. You prioritize and you fund those things. And you also ask yourself, of course, where the money is going to come from, so that the two are going hand in hand. Because you can't tell people to achieve things, then every time they come to you is, we don't have money, we don't have a budget. We don't have money, we don't have a budget. Then nothing gets accomplished. So the budget has to go line in line with your strategy. And of course, I've already mentioned the structure in terms of the roles, the culture, the processes. The organization has to be organized in a way to meet the strategy. The strategy meets the environment. The organization structure has to meet the strategy. So once you have come up with your new strategy, you don't assume you're going to be able to achieve it based on things you inherited, based on a culture you inherited, based on a structure you inherited. You have to be agile enough to rework your strategy, your processes, your culture to be able to achieve the strategy that you have. Because when there is a mismatch between your competencies, what you are funding, and your structure and the strategy, then your strategy does not get achieved. So you need to be able to ask yourself this morning, or as you review and monitor your strategy, you want to ask yourself, does your strategy reflect your actual environment? Did you think about the nature of the customer you are dealing with? Did you think about the competition around you? Did you think about the needs around you? Did you think about how the industry is moving before you sat in the boardroom and came up with your strategy? After you came up with your nice strategy, does your team understand how their daily work connects to the strategy goals? Do they know that what I do here is not just small thing? It is not just giving people tea. It is me contributing to a certain bigger thing. Because when an individual knows they contribute to a bigger vision, then they are more motivated. They stop feeling like just another person around. They feel like somebody who contributes to something. But most of the time we treat the staff, especially the junior ones, like robots, as if they can't grasp anything beyond them just coming in and going home, entering data and going home. They need to understand why they have to enter that data a certain way. They need to understand why they have to deal with the customer a certain way in terms of where we are going and in terms of the goals that we have set. Then after that, we get to ask ourselves, are we measuring outcomes? So that we don't feel busy, we don't feel like we are achieving, but then wait until the end of the year to realize we have not grown. We have not gone anywhere because you are not monitoring the right things. So those are probably the 3 major things you need to ask yourself. Does your strategy reflect the actual environment? Do your teams understand how their work connects to their strategic goals? And are you measuring outcomes or activities? And like you said, if they are already incorporated into people's day-to-day work, if they are already incorporated in their KPIs, then monitoring does not become a separate issue, because you're monitoring them the same way you monitor their monthly targets. You're monitoring them the same way you monitor our departmental monthly performance. When we sit in our monthly departments, we go through them. When we meet in our quarterly management or board meetings, we are going through them because you have made them part of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So if you realize you're missing any of those, of course, it means you have some work to do. You have not totally failed, but tells us you have some work to do, and you need to be able to bridge that gap. You need to bridge that gap in the sense that you need to make sure that you are clear in your translation layers. You brought it down all the way from the top. You involved them from the beginning. You have come up with a strategy. You have a nice plan. They are anchored on a purpose. And now they have been brought down to departments, divisions, every individual, so that you have brought down the strategic choices or goals and objectives to what they do on a day-to-day basis. And our individual decisions are anchored on our purpose, and on our strategy. You have aligned your enablers, or make sure you align your enablers, your competencies, your resources, your culture, your organizational structure, so that it genuinely supports the strategic choices. Because a strategy will not operate in isolation. It has to be part of that whole ecosystem. And you have clearly defined your outcome metrics so that you shift your focus from activities to measurable outcomes. I could have said I need to do 4 meetings in a month, but if I am doing 3 and hitting the outcome, which was increased revenue and increased customer satisfaction, then it's not about the activity. It is the major outcome. It is the impact that that activity was meant to give us, so that we are able to see that our results are signaling the success that we want to achieve strategically. Because in essence, eventually, doesn't matter how nice your strategy is, doesn't matter how many days you spent in Dubai, how many nights you spent in Naivasha, even the best strategy done by the best person in this world, it doesn't implement itself. You can have a very nice document, you can have a very good document, but until we bring it down to what we do on a day-to-day basis, make it part of what we do and make it a live document, and monitor it the same way we monitor all our other operations, and be able to be keen and focused on it, nothing moves. The strategy does not move. We move the strategy. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's and I must commend you, because as far as time management is concerned, you've hit the dot. Yeah,
It's part of my strength in my
that's
soul.
part of the strategy. Yeah, that you did it at the 8:05. That's what we always say. But some other people always say, let's just 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
thank you very much. So let's put our questions, if any, in the chat. Let's put questions in the chat, and also just to mention that these sessions are sponsored by Pivot Assets. Pivot Assets train trustees and help people to create wealth beyond retirement. We have Live Your Dream that helps MSMEs to grow their businesses, start and grow their businesses. We have ICT gurus that put you online, yes, dependably, affordably, and securely. And so those are the people that are behind, those are the organizations that are behind these sessions. And other people are welcome, other entities are welcome. You can reach out that will sponsor. And we have an upcoming dinner, which will be on Friday, the 30th of October in the evening at the Sarova Stanley. And please note, we have been planning with Pan-Afric, but they are doing some renovations, and they are saying that it's likely they had expected that October will find that the room is fully done, but they are saying that from the adjusted timelines, it appears it will not be so, and so they've moved us to the Stanley Hotel in town. That's where we are going to be. So any questions, any comments? Yes, a powerful presentation. Thank you, Rosemary, breaking this down, very insightful. And people have done lots of comments there. I love this invitation. One thing comes to mind. It's important to think of the end outcome from the beginning. That's from Aichi. Dr. Aichi is currently joining from Greece. Yeah, if you've never talked to people in Greece, at least I've done. Dr. Aichi is from Tanzania, like Razia. Any question? Any question in the chat? What are some of the tools, especially with AI era, that can facilitate all this? That is from Celestine. Yes, and Elsie Kagimbi also says great presentation, profound. So maybe you can just handle that, then we go to.
Okay, thank you. I thank you, Celestine, for questions, because of course we all would want to have tools that make our work far much easier than they already are. And of course, yes, AI will help you in one way or the other. But I think one of the challenges, especially I've gotten now that people have realized AI can also give us the strategy, so we don't have to think hard. But the downside of it is customizing it to meet your own needs. because there are things that are very unique to you as an organization. Because when I'm doing, for example, a SWOT, I don't expect to do a SWOT that is general. I want a SWOT that is very specific so that you can clearly be clear on these are our problems and this is how you want to sort them out. So in terms of coming up with a strategy, it can give you a high level, because right now I don't need 5 minutes to come up with an industry analysis. In less than a minute, I have an industry analysis if I have the right prompts and the right tools that I'm using to be able to search for that information. So in terms of understanding the environment, it is very easy because you have a lot of data and a lot of information right now. When it comes to customizing things, I still want people to sit in the boardroom and crack their heads and not depend so much on just general information that AI is going to give them. But then beyond that, when it comes to now monitoring, once you have come up with the things that you want done, then you can easily be able to look out for tools that can help you to monitor, so that you don't have to always be looking for one Excel sheet for a whole organization and tracing things with your own eyes. You can clearly be able to come up with a tool that helps us to know these are our priority areas for the next few months or this quarter, and people can be able to collaborate with a tool where they're able to keep updating each other. You don't have to wait until the end of the quarter to have a meeting. You can easily be able to update each other, and you can easily be able to see real-time progress. And even if you're reporting to the board, they can also be able to see real-time progress. So actually, the beauty of technology right now is that it can make your work easier in terms of getting to know what is happening across the industry. Then you sit down and crack what you need to do yourselves internally, and then you come up with tools that can help you with real-time updates and real-time tracking of what is happening, and be able to make our meetings much more productive, because we are focusing on things that are actually happening, and we already know where we are at any one time, irrespective of how many we are across the organization. Because also feedback is key. If we are making progress, people need to know we are making progress. What did we achieve this month? What did we achieve this quarter? So if you have tools that are helping us to monitor on real-time basis and broadcast back immediately to tell people, guys, this month we have hit our targets, they are more motivated to keep going. So I think there are things obviously we can be able to do, especially in terms of monitoring and continuous feedback and updates to the relevant stakeholders in terms of what is happening.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. That reminds me that I read in a WhatsApp a few days ago that somebody had automated his management of relationship with a girlfriend. And so they were, the girlfriend was getting prompt messages of all these fancy messages at the right time, reminding her of dates. And things were running well until she realized that all this was managed by AI. Then she broke out. And I'm wondering, this guy has made effort. What is the problem? He's implementing the strategy. Okay, let's welcome Noel. Come and tell us the next. Thank you. The strategy was working fine until somebody. Noel.
That is funny. That is funny, but it is funny, it is sad, it is hilarious, it's everything. Because if right now we are at that point in life where you can just automate chatting with your significant other. Anyhow, who are we? Whomst are we? So I call upon Dr. Melvin. Sorry, not Dr. Melvin. No, not Dr. Melvin. I call upon Maurice Omoni, who is going to give us the vote of thanks.
So thank you very much, Lady Noel, for the appreciation and great share there. Thank you very much, Paul Peter, for moderation and for the session. And in a very special way to our speaker, Rosemary Maina, you've really made it simple, something which is trained over a couple of days. Sometimes even people do this at MBA level for 2 years to master it. And yet you have simplified it in 1 hour, really breaking down what is the strategy, what guides strategy. You've mentioned about looking at the environment, looking outwards as you come inside. I really appreciate that. And then you also even shared like a purpose. Why do we exist? The mission, the vision, the values. why do we do what we do, why we do it. And I think it reminds me of Simon Sinek, who always say that you start with the why. And today you've really made it simple for even starters and even for those who are already seasoned to just refresh themselves that whatever they're doing, is it aligned to modern times. I also really appreciated when you talked about linking values to behavior and culture, because again, Michael Porter, and other strategies have said that culture can eat strategy at breakfast. You can have a very, very good strategy, but if the culture is not there, it remains paper, and it just kept there it keeps on accumulating dust. And I think that is what is ailing many of organizations or countries. To see, we have got wonderful papers, we've got wonderful documents, but we don't have the culture to really implement what we've done. So that is very, very excellent. And then also, like, and already Otino Peters acknowledged some of these very, very good supporters of Power Monday, like Pivot Assets, Live Your Dreams, ICT Gurus, and all those who come for these sessions every Monday, and the meet and greet and the upcoming dinner. Because if the speaker was here and there were no participants, it will be very, very strange that a speaker is just speaking to himself or herself, or to just to the board of Power Monday, and it will be of no use. But because people live whatever they're doing, everything they're living, doing, and being in the moment is really, really great. And that brings me again to our poet, Dr. Lucita, for the poem that she shared today, Live for Today. Sometimes we are chasing dreams, we are chasing the tomorrows, we are looking back at the nostalgia of yesterday and not living the day. So that poem was very powerful when it is aligned with what we have talked about strategy today, that we have a great vision, we are looking at the future, but what takes us to that future is what we do today. Because a good strategy, if it's not implemented, just remains like a dreamer, somebody who dreams of very big things, but they don't do anything. So thank you so much, Rosemary Maina, for the wonderful presentation today, and everybody else who participated. The board of Power Monday, Lady Noel is in the room, Otieno Paul Peter, Melvin, and everybody else who supports. There are so many things that goes behind the scenes, so that when it is delivered today, like on a Monday like this, as we are participating, just say this, everything will go seamlessly. But behind it, there's a lot of things that goes in, like the negotiation, reaching out to participants, and reaching out to the speakers, and everything, aligning it to come to this particular day. We really, really appreciate. Personally, I've been touched, and as I conclude my vote of thanks, I also want to perhaps just pose a question to Rosemary, that sometimes in a document, you see the mission, vision, etc. coming, of course, in the front side. But in reality, as we do we can have, that is what we want to do in the beginning. But as we do the preparation, as we do assessment of the environment, etc., you realize that perhaps your understanding and the vision that you had is a little bit different from what the environment has. So how do you change from, you say that it is top-led, how do you, again, when you go to reality, realize that environment is changing, and then the bottom is trying to change the top? How do you do that, especially if the board has already approved a strategy, that this is our purpose, this is our vision, this is our mission, and as you go along, the consultant has gone, but as you go towards implementation, you realize that there are other realities on the ground which requires changing from the bottom going outward. So how best can somebody go about that? So thank you so much for that. And I will post there and say, God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary, you will answer that immediately we are done with the official part. Yeah, thank you very much. So, Noel, we call Antonia. Is Antonia in the room? Antonia, brief announcement. We are past the time. Then we close. Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, Power Monday team. It's a pleasure just to be here on a Monday like this. Thank you so much, our speaker, for today. That was really great, helping us differentiate between the strategy, goal, and the plan. Yeah, we are looking forward even for the recording so that we can learn more. Today, I only want to insist on the registration for the dinner. Thank you, OPP, for highlighting the change of the venue. It is the sort of Pan-Afric that preferred us to go to the Stanley. Same services, same vibe, same fun, and even, if I can say, it's a warmer place. Yeah, and we are really grateful because we are going on well. And today, I just want us to just notify me on the chat session if you'll be joining us for the dinner. And even if you're not on Power Monday, you can just write your number and your name at the chat session. Then I'll be able to collect it from there. Yes, it is not just the people who are on Power Monday WhatsApp group who are joining the dinner. And the ones who are joining us from outside are even increasing more than the ones who are for Power Monday. So I would like to request Power Monday members, kindly submit your names and don't let our guests go ahead of you, because we want you to be number one beneficiary of the dinner. And as you can see, the kind of people who are registering, it's like every speaker who comes here is in for the dinner. So you can be able to tell the kind of entrepreneurs who are joining the dinner. So kindly join and let's revive the vibe. Have yourselves a blessed day. Sorry, I'm joining from outside.
Yeah, you okay? Thank you very much. So I think with that,